Hey Haley, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Good. How are your finals going?
Good. Just getting ready.
Okay. Today we are going to be we're going to review the tree a little bit, if you remember, and then we're also going to be going over, self-statements for opinions, okay? And so first let's start with the tree. Do you remember, or what do you remember about the tree I'm referring to?
T stands for topic sentence.
Oh, good. Okay, go ahead and write those down as you're saying them to yourself.
R equals reason.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember how many reasons?
3.
Yeah, very good. 3 or more.
E equals evidence.
Close. What comes?
Evaluate.
That is also very, very true. That's almost the last one. But so we start out with topic, and then we look at reasons. What do we also call the conclusion of a book?
End.
Yes, the ending of the book. Very good. And then the last one.
It's not evaluate.
So it's kind of close to evaluate, but what are you evaluating?
The reason. Evidence.
Yes. So technically we're going to call it examine, and so, but that's kind of like evaluating, that's kind of like evidence. You're just making sure that you have all of the parts.
Okay.
Like I said.
That makes sense.
See, but you did a wonderful job. Good job.
Miss Blake.
Okay, so now, remember how we were talking about doing opinion books earlier, and sometimes we can read certain books and they can help us look at different characters and maybe statements that they're saying. We can learn how to do opinions from them. So we are going to read the book, The Day the Crayons Quit. Okay, so just listen closely, because this book, it's going to take us about a few minutes to get through the whole thing. But I want you just to be listening for different opinions. We're going to be looking for kind of like the topics of everything, and maybe look for, reasons that people say what they do, the evidence, and all of that stuff. So, okay, so The Day the Crayons Quit by Drew Daywalt. Okay, so one day in class, Duncan went to take his crayons and found a stack of letters with his name on them. It's from the red crayon. Hey Duncan, it's me, Red Crayon. We need to talk. You make me work harder than any of your other crayons. All year long, I wear myself out coloring fire engines, apples, strawberries, and everything else that's red. I even work on holidays. I have to color all the Santas at Christmas and all the hearts on Valentine's Day. I need a rest. Your overworked friend, Red Crayon.
That's kind of hard to read sometimes.
It is hard to read sometimes because it's different handwriting, right? So we kind of practice our handwriting, right? So then when we're older, it's a little bit easier to read. Pink crayon. Hey Duncan, it's me, Peach Crayon. Why did you peel off all of my paper wrapping? Now I'm naked and too embarrassed to leave the crayon box. I don't even have any underwear. How would you like to go to school naked? I need some clothes. Help! Your naked friend, Peach Crayon. Well, poor Duncan just wanted to color, and of course he wanted his crayons to be happy, and that gave him an idea. When Duncan showed his teacher his new picture, she gave him an A for coloring and an A for creativity. The end. Did you like that book, Haley?
I did. That book's really funny.
Yeah, it is really funny. You're right, though. It is kind of hard to read sometimes with all that weird handwriting.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we learned from the book, we learned how to basically write opinions, right? So all of those crayons, they were writing their opinions about why they were either happy or why they were upset with Duncan, remember? Mm-hmm. And so we kind of need to learn how to do that in our own lessons as well. So the big question though is, how do we write an opinion? How do we kind of transition from having the thoughts in our head to actually writing it down on paper? This is a little bit hard sometimes with writing, so I'm going to use a real life example.
we use what we call model statements, or excuse me, we use what we call self-statements. And it's kind of the things that we say to ourselves while we're either learning to write or do other things. For example, we kind of go over things that we're good at, and sometimes we go over things that we're challenged with. And we use the self-statements to kind of get us through those things. So for example, when we're looking at something that we're good at, I am very good at typing, for example. I learned it when I was really little, and it was always just really easy for me. But something I would say to myself, a self-statement that I would use, was that I just thought it was a lot of fun to type. And so that made it a lot easier for me. But for example, we also have the challenge, we have something that we don't do very well. And so for example, I love to ice skate. I have been ice skating for a very long time, but when I was younger and learning how to jump, that is something that was a really hard struggle for me. So what I would do when I was learning how to do it is I would just tell myself, like, the statement that I would use is, okay, I have to do it, but everything's gonna be okay. I'm going to land on my 2 feet, and if I don't and I fall, then I'll just get up and I'll just try over again, and everything's gonna be okay. And eventually I got really good at it. So here is a picture, for example, of me ice skating. Yeah, so that was when I was a little bit younger, and now it's been a few years since I've skated, so anytime I go skating now, I don't jump because it's a challenge for me again, and I'm really nervous to do it. So I would just use the statements again. Now, in relation to whether or not we're talking about things that maybe we struggle with, or if we're talking about maybe even writing, we would kind of use a pattern to help us get through our self-statement. So we would think about, so before we do something, we're gonna think like, okay, like, what is my opinion and what do I believe about that? And once we do that, and once we realize, okay, we have this challenge, then we say like, okay, like, what's the first thing that I need to do? So we would kind of just lay out everything. We would kind of start planning everything. So for example, with my skating, I would kind of go through the steps of, okay, I just need to jump off the ice. I need to kind of get into a tight tube, essentially. I just need to spin, and then I just need to land on 1 foot. And that's all that I need to do. So once I've done that, and once I'm now actually trying it for myself and I'm in the air, I just kind of remind myself, like, it's okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and just land on 1 foot. And so once I get through all of those, and after I'm done, I kind of just look at, okay, how did I do? What went really well? If I fell, what maybe didn't go as well? And then regardless of what happened, I'd want to reinforce myself and just kind of say like, okay, I would congratulate or praise myself for the things that I did do well. And then if it didn't go well, I would just say, you know what, that's okay, and I'll just try again, you know? So that was a lot of information, but let's just go ahead and practice really quick. Haley, what is something that you think you're good at?
I think I'm good at playing the guitar.
Oh yeah? Why do you think you're good at playing the guitar?
Because I know the different chords, and I've been doing it for a long time, and my dad plays, and so he would help me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I feel like when I see sheet music, I can like strum well and like read the notes and that stuff, and I feel like my fingering is good, but I'm not as good as I used to be.
That's okay. So those were all really good pieces of evidence as to why you are good at, you said playing the guitar, correct? Yeah, so why you're good at playing the guitar. So what do you think then would be a good example of a self-statement?
Just like in my head, not psyching myself out. I don't know, like telling myself like, it's okay, you know how to read music, just keep going.
That's really, yes, that is perfect, good. Okay, so we're gonna stop there for right now, and so just keep these things with you, because as we move on to the next thing, we're gonna kind of translate that from the real life examples that we used into eventually how we write and use the tree model. Cool, so good job.